I'm Rendan, and this is Willy's Wonderland. Like, it's an okay premise for a movie. If you want to play it up, if you want to make kind of a B-horror movie out of it, it might be fun. So I decided to finally check it out, and this is maybe the worst movie I've seen this year, and I'm not exaggerating. I despise this movie. I think it's an embarrassing train wreck, and almost everything it does is either incompetent or terrible. But let's start with Nicolas Cage. He's the draw of the movie, and that's pretty obvious. He's one of the producers on it. He is the main star. He's in almost every frame of the movie, and he plays this gunslinger, wordless protagonist. That's kind of the vibe I get from him, like a Western type of dude who just rolls into town unannounced, from nowhere. He doesn't say much, or in this case, he doesn't say anything. And then he wreaks havoc. And that's his character, which is like, fine, on paper, that's fine. The problem is, he does nothing. The main character of this movie is straight up a blank slate, and they felt like that was an okay thing to do. But why? Nicolas Cage, it actually has no character in this movie. They didn't even try to give him character. You'd think at some point, you'd say, okay, so our main character, who hasn't said a word of dialogue, is slaughtering these animatronics. He is completely fine with it, seemingly. He's not treating it as if it's like a threat to him. Everyone that pops up, he just murders in a couple minutes and then goes on to drink some energy drinks or some Coke Zero or something and plays a pinball machine. And that is the entirety of his character. So let's see. Let's try to give him some backstory. Let's say, oh, he's rolling into town because he's heard about these animatronics and he wants to come, dispose of them. I don't know. That's kind of the gunslinger vibe. That's the gunslinger type of thing. You hear about an outlaw that comes into town. They're gonna come take care of him. Nah, that's not this. Okay, maybe, we'll have him come into town. He's related to someone that got killed. Okay, he's gonna come get revenge. Nope, it's not a revenge movie. He is literally just there. Here's the thing, the revenge aspect I'm suggesting, the backstory that I'm suggesting for this main character is all very standard. It's all boilerplate stuff. It's like that fundamentals of screenplay. You have an obstacle and you have an incentive. And that it does have that. At the bare minimum, it has that. It has the incentive is Nicolas Cage wants to get his car fixed. The obstacle is these animatronics that want to kill him. But that is all that it has. And that's a big issue because the gaps in between that need to be filled in with something. And they don't fill it in with anything. In fact, they fill it in with backstory that you don't need to know and characters you don't need to have. And that's a big issue, especially in a horror movie with a premise this simple. The premise is literally Nicolas Cage is attacked by animatronics because he wants to get his car fixed. That's the premise. When you have a simple premise, you gotta have some robust characters. You gotta have some horror things happening. You have to have interesting backstory, something, and this movie has absolutely nothing. The only thing it attempts is with what's her name? Going back to the incentive and obstacle. Those are the, again, fundamentals of a screenplay. You want your characters to have an incentive to do the things they are doing and an obstacle that they have to overcome. But you have to make the incentive good enough to where your main character doesn't just stop. And I don't understand why Nicolas Cage doesn't just stop, other than he wants his car back. But why couldn't he just get a new car? Why couldn't he just leave and then say, okay, I'll go get cash somewhere else, or I'll call somebody to pick me up and we'll fix my car later? He could have done all of these things and decides not to for reasons that aren't given to the audience or even alluded to.
This place has a dark history. I know the bullshit story they told you. It's a lie. You're here to be a human sacrifice.
And I don't get why he's doing this. Why does he want to beat up these animatronics? Why does he not see them as something supernatural? Why does he just dispatch of them in a comically short sequence where the camera just moves like crazy and then it's dead? What is going on? Let's take a step back. Let's look at some other things, because you have a vague main character. You have a main character with ambiguous history and ambiguous backstory. You can have that. Again, I don't understand why he's in the town. I don't understand why he's doing the things he's doing, and I don't understand why he's staying in Willy's Wonderland and continues to clean it after learning about what it is. Okay, we'll put that aside. You can still have a fun B-horror movie with that awful type of main character, as long as the action, meaning the horror in this case, is well done, well executed, and either scary or in some ways comedic, which this feels like it's attempting. And it can't get that right either. And that's a big issue. Like, that's a huge issue, because you don't have a character, you have a simple premise, and you can't execute the horror or action correct. It's not scary, and it's not funny either. It's not a B horror movie because Nicolas Cage goes and plays pinball and dances in a kitchen. That's not inherently funny. There has to be more to that to make it funny. There's one joke that landed for me in this movie. One. And it was when Nicolas Cage and Girl are squaring up to fight one of the monsters, and then his watch beeps, signaling it's break time. And every time his watch beeps, he has to take a break and go play pinball. But why? There's a pinball machine in the kitchen that he cleans up. Why is he so attached to that? I don't know. There's no reasoning for it. He just is, because they're lazy and they don't have any explanation for anything. So he takes a break in the middle of an action scene, which made me go, huh. And that was the only comedy I got out of this movie.
Have you been listening to a word I've been saying? He's gonna die in here, but he won't listen to me.
So let's talk about the exposition, which runs rampant through this movie in all the ways it doesn't need to, which is the backstory of Willy's Wonderland. Why? You don't need to explain Willy's Wonderland. I don't need to know why these animatronics are coming to life. I don't need to know that people performed a satanic ritual to move their consciousness into the robot. You don't need to explain that. It's fine to have just a demonic animatronic. That's all it needed to be, and yet here it is, a 20-minute scene where they're explaining the demonic animatronics, so why even do it? And then there's even more exposition with the sheriff of the town, who's also adopted the main girl, which is a pointless subplot that goes nowhere. Their relationship is nothing, and at the end, she feels no remorse for her surrogate mother, is that the right word? The sheriff getting killed. She just leaves with Nicolas Cage. That relationship is completely pointless, so don't even have it. But the sheriff has this long-winded exposition scene where she's explaining that they made a pact with the demons in the animatronics so that they wouldn't kill the people of the town, but they had to feed them. So they got people from out of town and they fed them to the animatronics. You don't need to explain this to me. It feels like a first draft. It feels like the director, writer, whoever wrote it, sat down and said, okay, this is what I want to see in this movie. I want to see a Western-inspired gunslinger, wordless character. Okay, I'm going to write that in. I want to see somebody who is affected by Willy's Wonderland. I'm going to write that in. And the sheriff of the town is connected to the person that was affected by it. And I'll write that in. And now I'm going to have 6 or 7 scenes where Nicolas Cage, or our main character, is fighting these animatronics, and this scene. We're going to write these all. And then we're going to end it with this ending. Okay, I wrote it. And it was like 9 index cards. And then that's now the movie, just 9 index cards, and you fill it all with nothing. You fill it with a bunch of time lapses of Nicolas Cage swabbing walls and cleaning off a pinball machine and drinking Diet Coke for no reason, and then playing a pinball machine and Exposition sheriff. It sucks! This movie sucks, dude. I hated this movie. I don't know why people like it. Please, if you enjoyed this, let me know down in the comments why you like this. I seriously don't get it. It's a slog. It was a slog. There's no likable characters. Nobody does anything of note or value. And everyone sucks. And half the characters die at the end. And you don't even get why the characters are dying in the first place. Why are they there? What's happening? What's going on with this guy? Why are these people showing up? Why did they fall through the roof? Why did some people fall through one part of the roof and another fall through another part of the roof, but they end up in the same place, in a ball pit? Why did they go and start banging in the middle of a room that a bunch of murders got committed in, and for no reason? Why did these animatronics kill people really quickly, but they can't kill Nicolas Cage because he just flips them over and then they die? Why did Nicolas Cage take breaks in between people getting killed, and one of his breaks lasts so long that 5 people die, and then one of his breaks is so short that he comes back after a girl stabs the thing at one time? I don't get it. Please. This is terrible. I give this a 2 out of 10 simply because of that one laugh I got, or I'd give it a 1. I hated this movie, bro. Don't hit me about these types of movies ever again.